So I have an empty folder today, and in this empty folder we'll be setting up how to use TypeScript with Node.js. So I'm on my WSL which is running on Ubuntu 24. So let's get started. First we'll have to initialize Git in this folder. So Git empty repository has been initialized, and do an npm init -y that gets us a package.json with default settings. Let's clear the console. The next step is to install TypeScript. So that's gonna be with npm install -d, because that's a dev dependency, because when we want to run actually the code in the production, it would run from the dist folder or the build folder, wherever we want to point it. So TypeScript So the next one, once TypeScript get installed, is to install types for Node, because with TypeScript we want to take the advantage of type safety and the code's TypeScript advantages. So let's go and install types for Node. npm install -d @types/node. So this would take a couple of seconds. Okay, now that we have installed TypeScript and types for Node, our next step is to place a tsconfig.json that would be used by TypeScript to run and evaluate our local workspace. So to do that, we need to do in npx tsc-init, and this would go create a tsconfig.json file with some default parameters. Next step is to open tsconfig.json, and when we see that, there are a few things that we can note. At the root level there are two options, two properties. One is compiler options, the other one would be excludes and includes, which obviously is not given by the TypeScript by default, so we need to add that. Before we go into that, let's see why we'll have to uncomment few of these. So I want to target this not for ES 2016 but to ES 2020. So as the comment says, I want this, if I set this to whatever value it is, it would emit a JavaScript that would be understood by that variant of ECMAScript. So ES 2020, so my JavaScript bundle that gets generated would be ECMA 2020 compatible. The next step is my modules. Because I want to set it up for Node.js, I would use node next. Okay, comments are there. Then the root directory. Where is my root directory? I am currently in this. And you want the module resolution? Yes, and I want it to be node next. Okay, and the next one is I want to allow JS part of your program. For now, let's say I want to allow JS, and that's going to be true. Then whatever I'm emitting, do you want a declaration map, source map? If I enable this, then there is a source map that gets generated. We'll see it in the next couple of minutes on how that's going to come up. The next one is an out directory. This is where I'm telling TypeScript to put all the transpiled code, and I want that to be in build folder. I generally have it as dist or build, but that's okay. For this video we'll use it as build. You want interrupts, I would stick to that. Then you want a strict mode, I would say yes. Do you want to implicitly? Then the other one is I would want to have, so whenever TS transpiles .ts files to JavaScript, and when I want to move this project to production, I want to have my package.json also available. So first we'll go and say what all it can be included. So include, I would want to include package.json star source. Okay, where is your root folder? That's my root folder. So when I transpile my code, so into the build, I'll also get to choose, sorry, I also get to have the source folder as it is. Then I want exclude also. For now, let's just exclude node modules. I think there's an issue with my theme. That's okay. I did forget a comma. I think we're pretty much happy with this for now. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna do is create a source folder, because we are saying that our TypeScript resides in src. So let's go and add that src, and I wanna say that index.ts is my entry point for my TypeScript. Index.ts. So if we see, there's no big difference than just renaming our .js to a .ts file. The structure as is remains the same. There's no huge code change, but in the next couple of minutes we'll understand why this is a huge difference for us. For now, say let's type some simple JavaScript commands and try to see how TypeScript being present in our workspace impacts and influences our way that we write our code. Okay, let user is equals to, for okay, not just an object, but for now say is Eshwar, but I did some activity and then someone's trying to assign user is equals to 10, then immediately I have an error that comes up with a red line beneath the variable user. And if we see, as we hover, there's an IntelliSense that says that type number is not assignable to type string. So TypeScript, because it's present in this, has checked for type safety of this variable and found that we're trying to assign a numeric value to a variable which is actually a type string. So how did this TypeScript tell me? So it inferred it on its own. But how can I do this explicitly? There's another way. I can quickly come here and say, hey, you know what, I expect user to be a string on all times. So there are two advantages. One, TypeScript doesn't have to infer it, so it's much easier for me. The other one is that when I read a code as a developer, I can quickly understand that, hey, you know what, I have a variable user and it expects a data type of string on all times. So I don't have to do a mistake, right? Let's go on. Say for example, I have an object user, and then it has a first name as Eshwar, and then a last name as Prasad. So that's a plain JavaScript object. There's nothing magical about it. Let's define a type user name, and let's say that our first name is of type string. Okay, and then my last name is of type string, and then see, this is where TypeScript comes into play. Say for example, I have defined my first name as Eshwar and last name as 10. There's nothing wrong with it. But when I say that, you know, I have a variable declaration, and that variable probably should be of type username. Okay, and now when I come and say that my username variable takes in an object which of course has a first name and a last name as its properties, but this is where TypeScript says, you know, your last name should not be of a type number because you have defined it as a string. When you have mentioned your type username, from which the username has to be inferred with. So that's the advantage of, you know, having TypeScript. So my code is always checked for its safety.